Hi, I'm Mark Orwoll for Highbrow Magazine, and I've got a movie review for you. The Glenn Miller story, The Seven Little Foys, To Hell and Back. These adulatory biopics and many others from Hollywood's heyday paint their subjects as almost saint-like, with all the warts removed. To that list, you can add Steal This Story, Please, an at times didactic, overly long, and hagiographic look at the life and stunning career of investigative journalist Amy Goodman. If you're not familiar with Goodman, you're not alone. The filmmakers were wise to include a couple of clips of people saying, as Regis Philbin told his TV audience, "I was unfamiliar with the name." It makes the audience feel okay about knowing little or nothing about Goodman. But public broadcasting's audience knows Goodman as the longtime host of Democracy Now!, which reaches nearly 1,500 radio and television stations. The independent, cage-rattling, daily global news show's mission is to speak for the unheard voices in the world's conflict zones, whether that's while reporting from death row in Georgia or dodging bullets at an impromptu protest in East Timor. But a recurring theme in the film is whether Amy Goodman is a journalist or an activist. Is it possible to be both? Her efforts to free an innocent man from prison are noble. But should a journalist adopt the role of advocate while reporting on a story? She wears her heart on her sleeve. There's little doubt where Goodman stands on any given issue, which begs the question, is she a true journalist or something more in the way of an opinion maker? This would have been a rewarding sidebar to pursue, especially with Goodman's own thoughts on the matter. The filmmakers wisely decided to open with a scene in which Goodman attempts to interview P. Wells Griffin III, America's climate representative at the UN Climate Summit in Poland in 2018. Griffin, immediately uncomfortable, says, "I'm sorry, I'm running late for a meeting." Amy Goodman runs right along with him, continuing her barrage of questions, never letting up until Griffin manages to slip into a private office. Okay, we get it right away. Amy Goodman is a tough old cookie who knows the ropes and how the game is played. When you see Amy, Mr. Politician, you'd better run. Instead of telling Goodman's bio in some sort of narrative arc, the film's collection of anecdotes, backgrounders, and impressive film clips seems to pop up willy-nilly. If the directors had decided to do a chronological life story from Goodman's youth to the present, it would have had some compelling themes: youthful determination, peak-era competitiveness, the inevitable slowdown at the end of a long, laudable career. Or if the directors had wanted to organize Goodman's exploits around categories like war, politics, the environment, or corporate exploitation, there would have been no complaint from this movie reviewer's desk. As it turns out, though, despite the many editing choices available, the filmmaker's organizational thinking is difficult to fathom. No doubt there's a pattern here, a rationale for the seemingly haphazard arrangement of topics. I just couldn't find it. We bounce from Goodman's 1980s start in broadcasting to the release of a mistakenly imprisoned man in 1995, to a street massacre in East Timor in 1991, to a hand-drawn newspaper that her little brother produced in 1969, to, well, I could go on and on and on. No kidding. At 153 minutes, Steele is longer than Trump's last State of the Union address. That's unfortunate, but fixable. I'd begin by trimming or deleting some of the ancillary topics, like the corporatization of media and a backgrounder on environmental protests. Whether it's a failed timecode window on their avid composer or going in depth on topics that didn't require deep dives, the filmmakers have taken advantage of their audience's good nature. For example, at 90 minutes or 2 hours, Steal This Story Please would have been a zippy and memorable bio of a hard-driving, civic-minded reporter. But at its present length, even Goodman's family members would be hard-pressed to sit through this film twice, as I've done. Amy Goodman isn't part of this film's problem. She's a force of nature. You'll be glad to learn more about her, just perhaps not this much more. With her 35-plus years of experience, her many accolades, including from the Overseas Press Club, the Robert F. Kennedy Journalism Awards, and others, and her sheer cussedness about getting the story, Amy Goodman is worth knowing. What I had hoped for in this film was the tonal equivalent of war stories bandied around by half-drunk reporters at the Beirut Hiltons up on the 31st bar during a lull in the fighting. What I found instead was a distracted and overweight version of what could have been a tight little masterclass in biography. As for Amy Goodman being on the side of journalism or activism, stick around after the credits where a 10-second Easter egg of a clip might provide food for thought. For Highbrow Magazine, I'm Mark Orwoll.